Hello everybody, this is the iFind channel here. Even though I returned to the US only 5 weeks ago, I'm actually going to go on another trip to Europe this time for about a month. So I'm currently in Boston now, and I'm actually going to fly all the way to Istanbul via a direct flight via Turkish Airlines. And then I'm going to go from Istanbul all the way to Thessaloniki, where I'm actually going to stay overnight there, do the laundry, and then go all the way to Athens, and then to Corfu over here, and then to Tirana. And then afterwards, I'm actually going to fly from Tirana all the way to Budapest. And then I'm actually going to go to Bratislava. And then to Prague. And then to Wrocław, Krakow, Warsaw. And then Vilnius and Riga and Tallinn all the way up in the Baltics, before flying all the way to Istanbul, where I'm actually going to stay one night in Istanbul before returning to Boston. So why not? I'm actually going to see you guys in Istanbul. Now the reason why I visit Europe now as opposed to later is because of the implementation of the ETIAS, which is actually an e-visa for like American tourists, as well as several other visa waiver countries outside of the EU and the Schengen area. Also, the weather is set to be a lot fairer around this time rather than like during the spring and summer. And also, luckily, I do have a remote job and stuff. So, therefore, I could actually travel whenever I want. And I don't really have to worry about taking any holidays or anything. Now, before arriving in Istanbul, let me show you guys what plane I'm going to be riding at. Yes, Turkish Airlines. I'm not needing to show you it, because I already show you guys the whole review of the Turkish Airlines if you want to see down in the description, because I actually visited Thailand and actually flew via Turkish Airlines 2 months ago. So why not? See you in Istanbul. After about 11.5 hours, I finally arrived in Istanbul over here. Yes, this is the Aksaray station, and now I'm actually going to look for directions to the hotel and maybe buy some food. Who knows? As you guys can see, these actually cost 200 to 220 Turkish lira. Now, if you don't know, the Turkish lira actually did depreciate against the US dollar dramatically in the past 5 years. In fact, 5 years ago, the 1 US dollar is worth around 6 Turkish lira, but now 1 US dollar is worth 35 Turkish lira. After a while, here's the hotel I'm going to be staying at for 3 nights. As you guys can see, it is quite small with a twin bed and a private restroom. But guess how much I actually pay? $20 a night. Yes, $20 a night. This is actually Hotel Orchid, and let me show you guys the address. It is somewhere close to the center of Istanbul. Okay guys, for dinner I'm actually going to eat the kofta over here. And it actually costs 390 Turkish lira. And let me show you guys the restaurant, Hossida. Okay guys, this is actually my Turkish dinner. I'm actually going to eat this, and then I'm actually going to go to some attractions in Istanbul. After eating, I decided to go to the very first attraction, and this is actually the Little Hagia Sophia. And fun facts about this mosque is, even though it is currently a mosque, it used to be an Orthodox church dedicated to Saint Sergius and Saint Bacchus. And it was actually built between 532 and 536 by, you guessed it, Emperor Justinian of the Byzantine Empire. And during Byzantium rule, Istanbul used to be called Constantinople. And in the 1510s, the Ottomans actually converted it into a mosque. I'm now going to go into the mosque. I'm now outside the mosque over here, and let me show you guys what it actually looks like. Now over there, if you could see, is actually a cemetery of some sort. And I do believe these are actually burial ground over here, and I'm not sure what you would actually find in the graves, but over here is actually the tomb of Kesibaz Hussein Aga over here. Now you would actually see some Islamic characters. And of course out here is the exterior facade. Now here is a map of Istanbul. We're now in the Fatih neighborhood over here, and over there is actually the Bosporus Strait, which actually separates the European side of Istanbul and the Asian side of Istanbul. I just left the little Hagia Sophia, and if you were to hike 10 minutes, you would actually find this, which is actually the hippodrome of Constantinople. Actually, it used to be a hippodrome. Now it is actually called the Sultanahmet Square, and Septimus Severus actually founded this hippodrome as a circus and a cultural center of Constantinople, but because of the Ottoman takeover, hence it is now called Sultanahmet Square, and over there is actually the Blue Mosque. Now at the very end you would actually see the obelisk of Theodosius. This obelisk is actually 18.5 meters tall, aka 60 feet. And fun fact, it was actually first erected by Pharaoh Thutmose III of ancient Egypt, yes. At least 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, and later, around 400 AD, Emperor Theodosius actually re-erected the obelisk. Now over here specifically is the walled obelisk. Now over there, if you could see, is actually the Ibrahim Pasha Square, or the Turkish and Islamic Art Museum. And why not? I'm actually going to face towards here to actually enter the Blue Mosque, aka the Sultanahmet Mosque. And over there, if you could see, I do believe it is the Hagia Sophia Mosque, but I'm not too sure. The Hagia Sophia Mosque is actually a 6-minute walk away, so why not? I'm actually going to enter the Blue Mosque, which is actually free to enter. Okay guys, over here is the Blue Mosque, and the Blue Mosque is officially called the Sultanahmet Mosque, and it was built between 1609 and 1617 by Sultan Ahmed I, and it has 6 minarets. As you guys can see, one is actually under construction, and one is over there, and the other's over there. You might not be able to see it, but there are actually 6 minarets, more than that of the Hagia Sophia, as the Hagia Sophia only has 4 minarets. And this is a prototypical Ottoman temple over here, and the minaret, it actually is 64 meters tall. And if you were to see, there is actually one central dome and 4 semi-domes over the prayer hall, and in this mosque you could actually see Ahmed tomb. And the reason why it is actually called the Blue Mosque is because of the painted floral motifs in predominantly blue colors, and it is listed in the UNESCO Heritage in 1985. Unfortunately, this mosque is currently closed because of prayer. As you guys can see, 18 o'clock is actually the closing time. Somehow I was actually granted access to the mosque over here, and this is what the interior actually looks like. Quite immaculate, with ornate details and stuff. Unfortunately, there are no portraits of anybody. Instead, you would actually see symbols and stuff like this and this and many more I could not possibly show you guys. Over here is the prayer zone, and as you guys can see, this is actually the full-size dome. And over here I do believe are like partial domes, but I'm not too sure. And over here is a replica of some type of mosque, and here's where you get your water. Now I'm currently outside, and these are 2 more minarets before I actually walk all the way to the Hagia Sophia. Now over there, if you could see, is actually the Sultan Ahmed tomb. Now over there, if you can't see, is actually the very iconic Hagia Sophia Mosque. Yes, the most iconic landmark in all of Istanbul, possibly even Turkey, to be honest, in my opinion. I'm actually going to go there, but first let me show you guys the Sultanahmet Park. And if you could recall, over there is actually the Sultan Ahmed tomb. Now before I go to the Sultanahmet Park, why not, I'm actually going to go inside the tomb over here, tomb of Sultan Ahmed Khan. He actually lived between 1590 and 1617, so quite a short life. And over here it is. I'm not sure where Sultan Ahmed is, but I do believe it is here. As you guys could see, yes, it is there. More evidence. Now I'm crossing through the Sultan Ahmed Park over here before actually going to the Hagia Sophia Grand Mosque, which used to be an Orthodox church, just like the little Hagia Sophia. And fun facts about the Hagia Sophia Mosque: it was actually built in 537 under the rule of Justinian I. Yes, the guy who actually ruled the Byzantine Empire. Over here is actually the park. You could actually see people hanging out. And over there are actually some fountains. Unfortunately, the Hagia Sophia Grand Mosque is currently closed, but tickets for just the second floor of the mosque will cost 25 euros. Yes, not in Turkish lira, but in euros. And for the second floor plus the museum, you would actually have to pay 50 euros. And some fun facts about this church turned mosque: it was a former Orthodox church built in 537 AD by and during Justinian of Byzantine's rule, becoming the largest interior space in the world at the time, and it was the first church to employ a fully pedantative dome. It was the largest cathedral up until the 16th century, more than 1,000 years later, when the Seville Cathedral was actually built. And during the Fourth Crusade in the 13th century, it actually served a brief stint as a Catholic church, but it always been an Orthodox church at its core, even when it was actually converted to a mosque in 1453 after the Ottomans actually conquered Byzantium. And in 1935, the Turkish government actually converted this mosque into a museum. And in 2020, in a very highly controversial move, which has been condemned by UNESCO as well as several Christian NGOs, the Turkish government actually converted this into a mosque once again with a very small museum inside. And some say it is actually tantamount to cultural genocide, but still you could actually find some artifacts inside the Hagia Sophia, so I might visit tomorrow. And if you could see over there, that is actually the Imperial Gate to enter the Topkapi Palace. Now over here is actually the spelling of Topkapi. As you guys can see, that is actually from the Hagia Sophia Grand Mosque. Yes, prayer time. I'm not even joking. Now I do believe that even though the Hagia Sophia Grand Mosque is actually an important historical site, I do believe $50 is kind of extortionate. Especially in the Turkey of all places. I just crossed into Gülhan Park, and coincidentally this is where the 1839 Edict of Gülhan was actually proclaimed. And this park actually opened in 1912 and is one of the oldest and most expansive parks in all of Istanbul. In fact, this park is about 10 hectares big. Over there are two bridges, and as you guys can see, it does look quite dope inside, kind of like many parks throughout Europe and even Asia I visited. Like, for example, the Boris Gradina Park in Sofia, the Lumfini Park in Bangkok, as well as the Taodan Park in Ho Chi Minh City. I'm now going to take a look at who this actually is over here. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is actually Bu Anit Ataturk, yes. I do believe this is actually the founder of Turkey. And based on context clues, I could actually decipher this is for Mustafa Ataturk's 100th anniversary. Hence, this is actually his centennial statue. He actually turned 100 in 1981. Now, as you guys all know, the Ottoman Empire was actually founded all the way in the 13th century, but because they actually aligned with the Central Powers, therefore they actually lost World War I. And in 1918, the Ottoman Empire actually collapsed, and Turkey was actually founded. And guess who the first leader of the new Turkey is? Yes, you guessed it, Mustafa Ataturk. Now adjacent to the Gülhane Park is actually this, which is actually the Topkapi Palace, known as the Cannon Gate Palace. It was actually a palace for the sultans of the Ottoman Empire from the 1460s until the completion of the much more elaborate Dolmabahce. And now both palaces are museums and they cost 2,000 lira each, or 50 euros. Yes, quite extortionate. However, if you were to buy the 105 euro museum pass, which lasts 5 days, it actually includes the Topkapi Palace, Maiden Tower, Galata Tower, Archaeological Museum and more. But ironically, that 105 euro pass is not applicable for the Hagia Sophia. For the Hagia Sophia, you do have to buy a separate ticket, exacerbating the expenses. But from what I heard, all of these palaces and mosques are actually heavily subsidized for Turkish civilians, and really only the Hagia Sophia actually costs money, because when I actually visited the Blue Mosque as well as the Little Hagia Sophia, both are actually free, and from what I heard, other mosques are also free as well. The last thing I want to show you guys today is actually the palace as well as the column of the gods before I actually return to the hotel. Ironically, I later found out the archaeological museum is even closer to the park than that of the Topkapi Palace. The Topkapi Palace is actually behind the archaeological museum, which only costs around 16 euros. Unfortunately, due to the fact I do have an extreme restroom emergency and there is basically no restroom at the park, therefore I had to return to the hotel like immediately. Now it is really late. As you guys can see, I'm now just going to go to sleep, and I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow at around 8 or 9 a.m. Unfortunately, my quality of sleep is kind of a bit hampered. The bed is kind of small, to be honest, so I do have some poor blood flow. And also, the thing is, the bed is quite hard. And fun fact, this Hotel Orchid is a Russian-owned hotel. I'm not even joking. Yes, a Russian-owned hotel. So why not? I'm actually going to find some breakfast. Okay guys, due to the fact I woke quite early, therefore I actually bought this, which only costs 85 lira. Yes, in a country that's so expensive, this is quite affordable at 85 lira. I've seen many meals cost at least 150 or 200, even for donors and stuff. So this is quite affordable, and it is, I do believe, suburegi, but I'm not too sure. Okay guys, over here is the metro. I'm actually going to go all the way to Gülhane Park again to show you guys the column of the gods. I just exited the train station, and one of the reasons why I do believe Turkey is so expensive relative to just 10 years ago was because of the Turkish economic crisis, which actually started in 2018 and is still ongoing. Well, in 2018, $1 equals about 4 Turkish lira, but now $1 is like 35 Turkish lira. I just returned to the Gülhane Park over here, and fun fact about the Gülhane Park, it actually used to be the garden of the Topkapi Palace over here, but now it became the green space for civilians. And it is free, by the way, just like that of other public parks. So why not? I'm actually going to walk to the column of the gods. Okay guys, let me go through some fun facts about the Turkish economic crisis. The reason why there is an economic crisis is because of Erdogan's rising authoritarianism, plus his unorthodox views of interest rates. And fun fact, in just 2021 alone, the lira lost nearly half of its value. As of now, there is a 50% inflation rate. I'm not even joking, 50%. The US at its highest levels since like 1980 are somewhere at around 13 or 14%, but nearly 50% is insane. However, the devaluation of the Lebanese pound, aka lira, yes, lira, just like in Turkey, is far more egregious. And fun fact, Italy's currency used to be called the lira before the adoption of the euro in 2002. After a while, I finally arrived at the column of the gods. It is quite a hike, to be honest, because it is high up the hill, but it is actually the oldest surviving Roman era monument over here, and it has a height of 18.5 meters. over here it is. As you guys can see, this is actually the color of the gods, and up there is actually a Corinthian style column. Now the color of the gods is actually made up of Pro-Phoenician marble in a single block. Now unfortunately, due to the fact I only have 3 days in Istanbul, therefore I do not believe it is actually worth it to buy the €105 museum pass. I just don't have time to visit all the museums, plus I do want to visit the Hagia Sophia, so hence I do have to skip the museum pass. But I do think the museum pass is very much worth it if you're planning to visit Istanbul for 5 days, because it does include 60 museums, including the Topkapi Palace. And the Topkapi Palace actually costs 2,000 lira, or about 50 euros. So I do believe the museum pass is very much worth it if you're planning to go to the Topkapi Palace. Yes, it is quite overpriced, to be honest, but just a few years ago the Topkapi Palace is quite affordable. And yes, I do believe 2,000 lira is wildly overpriced. Yes, 2,000 lira, aka 50 euros. In fact, the Louvre only costs around 22 euros. The Palais de Versailles only costs 21 euros. And many other palaces throughout Western Europe cost even less. And yes, Western Europe is actually far wealthier as a whole than Turkey. But still, I heard in 2019, when I last visited Turkey, that the Hagia Sophia only costed 60 liras, aka $10 US. Now it actually costs 25 US for the second floor only, and another 25, aka 50 euros total for the second floor plus the museum. After a while walking, I finally returned to Hagia Sophia. Over here is actually the Imperial Gate to actually go all the way into the Topkapi Palace. And if you want to see, this is what the gate actually looks like. After paying 1,025 lira, I finally arrived at the Hagia Sophia. Yes, it is quite expensive, to be honest. And the lines are quite long, to be honest, as well. In fact, for a few years, it used to be free, to be honest. Let me show you guys the price charts before the pandemic. Unfortunately, I do have to record a voiceover because I could not really speak inside of the Grand Mosque. But as you guys can see, it is extremely beautiful, like both the inside and the outside. And it does have a mix of elements, including that of, you guessed it, Orthodox Christianity and Islam. As you guys can see, these are some Islamic symbols symbolizing the fact that this is now a mosque rather than an Orthodox church. You can actually see some chandeliers and stuff, and yeah, it does look quite fancy. And this is the ground level, to be honest, which also looks quite cool and dope. And if you were to go a bit more, this is what the ground level actually looks like in full detail when everybody's cleared. And these are some chandeliers, and over here is the ground level and even more. And let me show you guys the dome. As you guys can see, this is the dome, and over there is actually the marble door. And as you guys can see, you can actually see another part of the Grand Mosque. And let me show you guys some design features. So over there are some Islamic symbols, and if you want to see, you could actually see some Orthodox symbols up there. And now let me face here, which actually shows Jesus. Yes, this is the mosaic panel over here, and you could actually see the real painting over here. Okay guys, over here is the mosaic panel. I'm now going to go out of the Hagia Sophia Grand Mosque, and here's the outside. After a while, I'm back at the Sultanahmet Park. Over there is actually the Blue Mosque, and if you were to go here, you will actually see the Hagia Sophia. Yes, the one I just recently left. So why not? I'm actually going to go to Galata Tower. I do believe that even though the Hagia Sophia now costs 25 euros, which is insanely expensive for just the second floor, I do believe it is sort of worth going, just because it is a major historical site in Istanbul and possibly the most iconic building in all of Turkey, to be honest, because it was an Orthodox church turned mosque. And just like I said, for a period of time during the Fourth Crusade in the 13th century, it used to be a Catholic church. So I would say the value is quite okay, despite the fact the St. Peter's Basilica is actually free. Okay guys, after a few minutes at the T1 tram, I'm finally at this station, which is Eminönü, and over there is actually the Yeni Mosque. I'm actually going to cross the river to actually get all the way to, you guessed it, the Galata Tower, as well as the Commando stairs. I'm now crossing the Golden Horn over here, and over there is actually the Bosphorus Strait, separating the European side of Istanbul and the Asian side over there. Yes, as you guys can see, there's actually a mosque, and that is actually the biggest mosque in all of Turkey, even bigger than that of the Hagia Sophia in terms of max capacity. Now over there, if you could actually see, if you were to point all the way there, is actually the Grand Çamlıca Mosque. And of course over there is the very iconic Galata Tower. And yes, as you guys can see, there are actually some people fishing over here. Now before going to the Galata Tower, why not I'd actually eat some lunch. I'm actually going to eat lunch over here at 34 Istanbul. And now I'm actually going to buy the pita meat doner. It actually costs 190 lira, or about $5 US. Okay guys, this is what my doner actually looks like. As you guys can see, there's actually some meat in there, as well as vegetables. I'm now heading towards the Commando stairs, and this neighborhood does look decidedly European. Yes, as you guys can see, it does look decidedly European over here. If you were to walk several dozen more meters, you would actually find this, which is actually the Commando stairs. Now this stairs actually leads you to the Galata Tower. In 2018, the Galata Tower used to only cost around 4 euros. Now it costs 30 euros, a 650% price increase. I'm not even joking. Yeah, you effectively pay 7.5 times more today than you do 7 years ago. Just 7 years ago. I'm now at the very top of the Commando stairs, and it'll be another 4-minute walk up this steep hill until you actually get to the Galata Tower. Okay guys, I'm now climbing all the way up here. After climbing some bit more, I finally arrived at the Galata Tower over here. And the Galata Tower was first built in 1348 in the Romanesque style by the Genoese when they established a colony in the Galata part of Constantinople. It reaches a max height of 67 meters, making it the tallest building in Istanbul during the time. And fun fact, there used to be a wall and citadel, but since the Ottoman conquest of Constantinople, they were actually pulled down. And another fun fact is, this is not the very first tower. In fact, there was actually a tower even before, on the exact same site, erected by Justinian, but it was actually destroyed by the Crusaders during the sack of Constantinople in 1204. And it used to function as a watchtower, but is now a museum and a symbol of Beyoğlu and Istanbul. So why not, I'm actually going to pay and go in to the Galata Towers. Okay guys, I'm now inside the Galata Tower over here. I'm now in the 7th floor, and you can actually see a replica of Istanbul. Yes, over here. I'll show you some of the buildings. Now this over here is actually the Galata Tower, and I do believe this is actually the Hagia Sophia Mosque, but I'm not too sure. And over there is actually the Asian part of Istanbul. Over there is actually the Bosphorus Strait. And if you could see, that is actually the Maiden Tower. You could actually see the Dolmabahce Palace, which cost 2,000 lira. And over here is the Blue Mosque. Over here is the Hagia Sophia, and down there is actually where the Topkapi Palace actually is. At least one of these two are actually the little Hagia Sophia. And over there is actually the Fatih side of Istanbul. You could actually see the Hagia Sophia, the Blue Mosque, as well as this, which is actually the Yeni Mosque. and some more mosque over here. And down here is actually the Beyoğlu part. And if you were to go here, you could actually see the Asian side of Istanbul. Yes, the Asian side. And I do believe somewhere around there is actually where the Maiden Tower actually is. Now over there with 6 minarets, if you could actually see, is actually the Grand Kamlicha Mosque. Yes, over there. And here's a clearer view. After several steps, which are not so debilitating, but sort of debilitating because I've been jet lagged, I finally arrived at the very top. Over here is a dome, and you could actually go outside and take a look at Istanbul. As you guys can see, the observation deck is kind of a bit narrow, but you could actually see some essential parts of Istanbul, including this Kamlicha Mosque. And you can see a lot more. This is actually the Asian side of Istanbul. And as you guys can see, that is actually the Golden Horn. And you could also see the Hagia Sophia, the Sultanahmet Blue Mosque, as well as several others. Here is the full view of European Istanbul. And of course, here's more. And I do believe I'm actually going to go down now. Okay guys, I'm now in the 5th floor of the Galata Tower, and you could actually see some artifacts over here. Now these artifacts are actually from the Neolithic age, so from 6 to 7,000 years ago. And over here some Roman artifacts, and over here some Byzantine artifacts. You could actually see a mix of modern and old. And over here more artifacts. Now these are actually pertaining to the Ottoman Empire. Actually, this is Ottoman. And here are some more Ottoman artifacts. I'm now in the 4th floor, and if you don't know, the Genoese are actually the people from Genoa. Yes, and they first came to Constantinople in year 1204 and actually invaded Constantinople, and hence Constantinople does have a Catholic church. You might have guessed it already. Hagia Sophia was actually used as a Catholic church during much of the 13th century. And over here some amphora used to transport food products and stuff. And here are some Latin inscriptions. And if you could actually see, over there is actually a chain. Now these chains are actually used to block some ships from invading much of Constantinople during Byzantine times. I'm now in the 3rd floor, and over here is a gallery pertaining to the Galata Tower. And as you guys can see, the year 528 was when the building was first erected in any form, in its current form in 1348, but in any form in year 528. And over here we could see are some images. Galata, and even more, to be honest. And over here some more recent images from the early 20th century, 19th century, 1950s, and 1980s. And over here is what Istanbul looked like in year 1520. I'm now in the 2nd floor, and over here does describe an astronomer named Taqiyuddin bin Maruf. Over here, I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation, but over here is another guy. And as you guys can see, this is actually a wing of some sort. And the guy who envisioned it is actually Hezarfen Ahmed Celebi. Unfortunately, despite the fact this guy is actually a prominent astronomer in Turkey, you might have never even heard of him. In fact, I heard of many astronomers, including Nicholas Copernicus, Tycho Brahe, Johannes Kepler, Galileo Galilei, among several others. And of course Hans Lippershey, who actually invented the telescope. Okay guys, I'm now in the 1st floor. I'm now going to go to the ground floor because this is actually just a gift shop. Now over here are the stairs for the ground floor. And it is shocking how this now costs 30 euros and not 4 euros like it did just around 6 to 7 years ago, which is absolutely insane. In fact, Versailles which actually includes the palace and the garden, only costs like 21 euros for foreigners in 2025. And after a while walking, I finally arrived here, which is actually Istiklal Caddesi, one of the most famous avenues in Istanbul. It actually stretches 1.4 kilometers all the way from the medieval Genovese neighborhood all the way to Taksim Square. I'm actually going to try to walk all the way to Taksim Square, and over there is actually the T2 streetcar, I do believe so. And fun fact, this road was actually named after the Declaration of Independence in 1923, which actually commemorates Turkey's triumph in its War of Independence. Okay guys, now I'm actually going to walk after this car has passed through. As you guys can see, these are actually the streetcar tracks. Yes, the streetcar only goes through the Istiklal Caddesi, and over there is actually Cafe Nero. And if you can see, the architecture here is quite immaculate, just like many European cities. Now this is more reminiscent of Europe than say like the part of Istanbul where my hotel is in Fatih, where it looks more Turkish. So I'm now going to show you guys. And over there is actually the Museum of Illusions. I actually went to one in Slovenia about 2 years ago, but the thing is, I don't think it's worth the money to go to every single Museum of Illusions. I only go to like 1 or 2, as there are a lot more things to do in Istanbul, including like mosque and stuff, as well as some royal palaces and even more. But over here is actually the Istiklal Caddesi. Now down here you could actually go all the way to the Roman Catholic Church of Santa Maria Traperis. And why not, I'm actually going to go down to show you guys what it is like. Okay guys, I found the correct entrance. Now the entrance is kind of a bit elusive, to be honest, but I did ask a local, of which he actually redirected me all the way here. Now you two have to go down this set of stairs, but over here is the church. Unfortunately, no recording is allowed, but let me tell you guys a story about this church. Now this church came all the way back in 1678 when Istanbul was already conquered by the Ottomans, and this is one of the oldest and most important Catholic parishes throughout Istanbul. I'm now outside walking towards Taksim Square, and this looks decidedly European, to be honest. As you guys can see, luckily there are not many motorcycles or anything, so this is more reminiscent of, say, a European walkable street rather than, say, a Vietnamese one. Yes, remember in Vietnam when there is like 0 walkable streets except maybe like I believe Le Loi. And over here you could actually see another church. Yes, Saint Anthony of Padua. This is also another Catholic church, and it was actually built between 1906 and 1912, so in the early 20th century. As you guys can see, this is what the Catholic Church looks like. Now over here is a statue of Pope John the 23rd, who actually was the Pope between 1950 and 1963. And you could actually see some Italian design structures over here. And why not, I'm actually going to enter this church. Oh, I do believe they do allow some photos and videos, but I do have to be silent. If you were to walk a bit more, you would actually see this, which is actually Shijek Passage. I do believe that is actually a mall of some sort, but I'm not too sure. As you guys can see, the building is quite opulent. I'm now finally inside this passage, and as you guys can see, these are actually some of the prices for food. And many of the restaurants here are quite luxurious, to be honest. and I do believe this is actually dome of some sort. But let me show you guys this side over here. Well, there's just the exit. After a while walking, I finally arrived at Taksim Square over here. Now I'm actually going to go all the way down to the Yeni Mosque. After a while on the bus, I finally arrived here, which is the Yeni Mosque, aka the new mosque. It was actually originally called the Valid Sultan Mosque, and it was built between 1660 and 1665. And it is actually designated as an Ottoman Imperial Mosque. It is on the southern terminus of the Galata Bridge, as well as the Golden Horn, and it is a notable example of the Sultanate of Woman period in Ottoman Empire, and the minarets are 52 meters tall. Next door to the mosque is the Egyptian Bazaar. Now, this is actually the main entrance to the mosque. Let me show you guys the Yeni Mosque. I'm now going to go in and show you guys what the mosque looks like in the interior. Okay guys, inside is actually the mosque. And this is what the mosque looks like over here. As you guys can see, quite spectacular. Just like the Blue Mosque as well as the Hagia Sophia. With all the ornate frescoes and stuff. It is definitely immaculate, just like some of the top mosques. Tomorrow I'm actually going to visit the Kamlicha Mosque all the way in the Asian part. And as you guys can see, this is actually the Holy Quran, and you could actually find the English as well as Russian. I just got out of the Yeni Mosque, and over here is the Egyptian Bazaar, aka the Spice Bazaar. Now this was actually built after 1660 using revenue from the Ottoman Eyalet of Egypt. As you guys know, Egypt used to be a province or colony of the Ottoman Empire. Now in here there are about 85 shops, so quite a lot. And this is the second largest covered market, only after the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul. I'm actually going to go to the Grand Bazaar later, but over here is the Spice Bazaar, aka Egyptian Bazaar. And as you can see, over there are some frescoes and decorations, embellishments and stuff. But why not? I'm actually going to show you guys around. This is so much more civilized than the Bentan market, in my opinion, or the Dongshung market in Hanoi. Now, even though this bazaar predominantly focuses on spice, you could find some food items. Here you could actually find like a kilogram worth of baklava for around 650 lira. Or you could also find some silverware, as well as, you guessed it, fabric, as well as some souvenir items. Now over here you could find one gate, another gate, and why not? I'm actually going to go to the second part of the bazaar over here. Here you could also buy the replica of the Galata Tower, which I do believe is definitely cheaper than the admission to the Galata Tower. And you could also find some purses as well, and watches. Now I'm finally towards the end, and over there is actually a portrait of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, aka the founder of Turkey. Okay guys, after enjoying time at the Egyptian Bazaar, as you guys can see, this is actually the outdoor extension of the bazaar, selling even more spice and food. I'm now heading to the Rustem Pasha Mosque. I'm sorry, it is extremely claustrophobic and crowded, but I'm actually going to try my best to get there within a set time. Now another major mosque near the Spice Bazaar is actually this, which is actually the Rustem Pasha Mosque. And this mosque was actually built in 1563 by Mimar Sinai under the rule of Sultan Sulaiman I. And it was actually named after the Grand Vizier Rustem Pasha. And guess how many minarets it has? One minaret. So why not? I'm actually going to go up here and I'm going to show you guys the interior of the mosque. Okay guys, I just exited the mosque. Unfortunately, I do have to be very quiet, but the mosque is quite beautiful, to be honest, even though it is far more simplistic than that of some other mosque. Definitely more spots in, but whatever. I'm actually going to take the 50-minute trek to, you guessed it, the Grand Turkish Bazaar, and show you guys the biggest bazaar in all of Turkey. Even though this is not quite the Grand Bazaar, this is actually Uzan Kaçı Kadesi, which is actually a major street in Istanbul. And it does contain some shops, so I do believe it is sort of a continuation of the Egyptian bazaar, or even a bazaar on its own. But this is definitely going to be for sure a small-scale bazaar than the one we're going to next, which is actually the Turkish bazaar. Really big, to be honest. You can't wait to see. After a 15-minute walk from the Rustem Pasha Mosque, I finally arrived here, which is actually the Grand Bazaar. Yes, as you guys can see, you could actually find some clothing products and stuff, even more shirts, as well as some purses and stuff. Here are some backpacks as well as handbags. You could also find shoes as well. And over here is actually the entrance to the Grand Bazaar. As you guys can see, you can buy a ton of stuff, kind of like at the Bentan and Dongshu market, but I do believe this is far cleaner than any of them. You could also find jackets as well as traditional clothing, and you could also find watches as well. Definitely no smart watches. And you could find some perfume and sunglasses. And you could also buy paintings as well. Not only could you buy snacks as well as clothing and souvenirs, you could also buy food and meals over here. As you guys can see, these are actually kebab over here, and this is a fully fledged restaurant inside of the bazaar. Now this bazaar is really big, at around 30,000 square meters big, so not quite as big as the Natick Mall at 170,000 square meters, but still it is extremely big, especially compared with the Egyptian bazaar. This is definitely for sure going to be giant. And plus, it actually attracts 250 to 400,000 daily visitors. And because it actually attracts 100 million visitors per year, this is the most visited attraction in the world. I'm not even joking. This is widely considered to be one of the oldest shopping malls, having been built in 1455 and dedicated to Mehmed II. But still, this is definitely the largest bazaar in all of Turkey and one of the biggest covered markets in the whole world. After a few such as one in Iran, I'll show you guys the town and the Futian market, which are all bigger than that of the Grand Bazaar. Even though this whole thing is considered the Grand Bazaar, over here is the entrance to the Old Bazaar, aka the central part of the main bazaar. Over here you could see some more antiquated paintings, and you can find some jewelry as well as even more jewelry here. Now this looks far better than that of the Bentan market, in my opinion. And here you could also find some smoking tools. You could also find some vases and pottery, as well as even more bags over here. Okay guys, as you guys can see, the Grand Bazaar is extremely big. Extremely big. I'm now going to go out of the Grand Bazaar, and I'm not sure what to do next. Okay guys, due to the fact the bazaar is actually closer to my hotel than that of the Süleymani Mosque, therefore I'm actually going to return to the hotel. But first, I'm going to eat at a restaurant called Overpriced. Over here, I'm actually going to try out the Adana kebab, which costs only 250 Turkish lira. Now I found meals which are even more affordable, to be honest. Okay guys, over here is my Adana kebab. Now this is quite appetizing. I'm actually going to eat, and then I'm going to see you guys at the hotel. Okay guys, I just returned to my hotel. I'm actually going to sleep, and then I'm going to see you guys tomorrow for the very last day in Istanbul, where I'll be hanging out in the Asian part. Good morning guys. Despite the fact this hotel is quite clean, in fact, due to the fact it is actually $25, hence the bed is quite hard. As you guys can see, it is quite hard, to be honest, firm just like many Vietnamese beds, and due to the fact it is a single bed, it is not really that comfortable. So therefore I'm actually going to check out of this hotel. Even if I don't get a refund, it's fine, because I actually lended a cousin to actually pay the Holiday Inn for me. He does have like at least 20 to 30,000 points on a Holiday Inn, so therefore I actually asked him to rent the Holiday Inn, and he only paid 10,000 points, yes, for the Holiday Inn. Unfortunately, could not really transfer the points to me, but it's kind of great that at least I could actually use points to actually sleep at Holiday Inn, which would have costed 55 euros per night if I were to book it. So why not? I'm actually going to go out to the center. Unfortunately, because the bed is kind of hard, therefore I do have debilitating back pain, sort of like in Vietnam. Remember last year when I actually visited Vietnam, I actually had to cancel the hotel midway and actually book the Liberty Center hotel. But in reality, I did get a refund on the other hotel, the Airbnb in Dolmabahce. But in reality, like I do have to check out. Like the Wi-Fi is quite good now, but in the past 2 days it has been spotty at best. I had to use like LTE and 5G and stuff, which does drain a ton of data. As instead of actually buying a SIM card in Turkey, I'm actually using my phone's plan. Yes, the reason why is I actually bought roaming when I was in Singapore, like about 2 months ago, but did not get to use the roaming, so therefore I actually had some free roaming credits via Mint Mobile. I actually paid around $15 for the 3-day plan, so why not? I'm actually going to go out. Okay guys, the first attraction I'm actually going to visit is the Bayezid Mosque, as well as the Bayezid Square. Now this mosque and the square was actually built in the early 16th century, between 1500 and 1505. It was actually commissioned by Sultan Bayezid II, and it actually sits on the ruins of the Forum of Theodosius, which was a forum in Constantinople. As you guys can see, this is what the mosque looks like now. The mosque is about 40 meters long, 40 meters wide, and 45 meters tall, and there are actually 2 minarets here. So why not? I'm actually going to go into the Imperial Mosque from the 16th century. Yeah, there's so many mosques in Istanbul, just like the fact there's so many temples in Thailand, specifically Bangkok. But in reality, much of the Bangkok temples are paid, whilst much of the mosques in Istanbul are actually free, except for the Hagia Sophia, which costs 25 euros. Okay guys, over here is Bayezid Square, and if you could see over there, that is the Bayezid Tower. And now over here is the mosque, so why not? I'm actually going to enter the mosque if I could, and I'm actually going to show you guys what the inside looks like if I could record. Okay guys, over here is the interior of the mosque. It is quite fancy and opulent, as you guys can see. Now I'm planning to go inside, but I'm not sure what this is. I do believe it's a platform of some sorts, but I'm not sure. So why not? I'm actually going to enter the mosque, but first off I do have to leave my luggage and shoes behind, which is kind of unfortunate because my luggage could easily be stolen, but I'm only going to be here for about 5 minutes. Okay guys, over here is the interior of the mosque. It is quite fancy, to be honest, just like I said, outside. And this is reminiscent of many European cathedrals, albeit in a slightly different style, in the Ottoman style. As you guys can see, instead of having like pictures, you do have symbols and stuff. And there is actually some stained glass, kind of like European cathedrals, but in a different flavor. Okay guys, I'm actually gonna leave for the Bayezid Square. I just exited the mosque. I'm currently at the Bayezid Square, and over there is actually Sera Scalarica Capisi, and why not? I'm actually going to go to the Bayezid Tower before I go to the Süleymani Mosque. So why not? I'm actually gonna cross. Over there is actually the Turkish flag and another Turkish flag, and it does say Istanbul University. So do you believe there's actually a university around here, to be honest? And I do believe Istanbul University might be one of the most prestigious, if not the most prestigious in Turkey. I'm not too sure. Okay guys, over here are the gates to the campus. Unfortunately I cannot really go in because they're actually security gates. As you guys can see, now Istanbul University is not even the most prestigious in Turkey. In fact, it is the 7th most prestigious. I'm not even joking. It's kind of like maybe who knows, like Columbia University, where it might be ranked 7th in the US. Okay guys, over here is the Bayezid Tower, also known as Saraskiye Tower. This tower is actually 85 meters tall, and it actually functions as a fire watch tower, and it is located in Istanbul's university's main campus. Construction was actually ordered by Sultan Mahmud II and was purportedly built in 1749. After a while walking, I finally arrived at the Süleymani Mosque, and this mosque is actually located on a third hill and was built during the 1550s. It reaches a height of 53 meters, and in the third hill you guessed it, see the Golden Horn as well as the Bosphorus Strait, Asian Istanbul sort of, and you could actually see Bayoglu as well as, you guessed it, this, which is actually the Galata Tower, and it is one of Mimar Sinan's great works. And this mosque is actually the biggest mosque built in the Ottoman era. Okay guys, I'm now in the Süleymani Mosque. Over here, these are some of the minarets. I do believe there are actually 4 minarets, but I'm not too sure. As you guys can see, this is what the mosque actually looks like. Now I'm actually going to go inside. Okay guys, over here is the inside of the mosque. Now you could actually see like English, Turkish, Russian and Arabic. And over here is actually a clock of some sort. And this is what the mosque actually looks like. Quite immaculate and opulent, just like other mosque. And this is quite spacious inside. As you guys can see. Here's the dome, and unfortunately you cannot go to the prayer area, only Muslims can, but I'm actually kind of restricted to just this platform level, so why not, I'm actually gonna see you guys soon. I just left the mosque, and due to the fact I've not ate anything today, therefore I'm actually going to eat here, which is at a restaurant near the Eminönü station, and here it is. Fries, and I'm waiting for my chicken doner wrap to come, and then I'm gonna show you guys that. Okay guys, over here's my chicken doner wrap. As you guys can see, I actually paid 300 lira for this accommodation. Even though 300 lira might seem quite expensive, in fact this is kind of the normal pricing, yes, in Turkey, I'm not even joking. Okay guys, this is what the chicken wrap looks like in the inside. Okay guys, I just finished eating, and ironically the restaurant is actually cash only, so I actually got 500 Turkish lira worth of cash and actually paid around 325. And now I'm in a park called Yildiz Park, which is one of the biggest parks in all of Istanbul. And fun fact, during the Byzantine period, this used to be a forest, but now it is a public park, so why not? I'm actually going to go in. After a while, I finally arrived at the entrance to the Yildiz Park over here. And over here is what the map looks like. Okay guys, as you guys can see, there is actually some incline, and I'm not thinking I'll cross this bridge, but I'm actually going to look for another bridge, because I do want to go through this entire path to actually get to the Büyük Medici Mosque. After being debilitated by the steep hill along with the luggage, therefore I'm actually going to climb through this. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm a bit lethargic from all of the climbing, but over there is actually a pond of some sort, and over there is a tree, definitely not the Bodai tree, but kind of similar. Yes, that is a pond, and I do believe that is a river of some sort. I'm not too sure, so when I'm just gonna walk a bit more. Over there are some pavilions where you could actually take a rest. Okay guys, those pavilions you've seen are actually picnic tables, and why not, I'm actually gonna walk some more. Over there is actually a playground. Okay, sorry, these steep inclines has made me like really fatigued now. I think I might just climb down and go all the way to the mosque. Okay guys, I just left the Yildiz Park, and over here is the Ortaköy Pier, and over here you could actually take a boat either to the Asian part of Istanbul or even to other parts of Istanbul, including, you guessed it, Fatih itself. So over there is actually the mosque, the Ortaköy Mosque, aka Buyuk Mededice Mosque. I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation, but over here is the mosque. This mosque was actually built in 1855 under the rule of Abdülmecid I, who was the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire during the time. It was actually constructed, and it actually has 2 minarets, as you guys can see, and it is definitely one of the more popular mosques around the Bosphorus over here. And over there is actually the Bosphorus Strait, which actually divides the European part of Istanbul to the Asian part of Istanbul. So right now I'm actually going to go into the mosque, and over there is actually the Ortaköy Square. Okay guys, over here is the entrance to the Buyuk Mescid-i Cami, and why not, I'm actually going to go into the Ortaköy Mosque to show you guys what it is like. Okay guys, this is the interior of the mosque.
50 küsür senelerinde Rus gemisi oldu. Yok 58 değil, 50 senelerin o zamanlarda, yani tarihini unuttum da o zamanlarda Rus gemisi oldu.
This mosque definitely does have a distinct flavor from that of other mosques, because there are actually chandeliers and stuff, as well as some Baroque elements, I do believe so. So it is kind of eclectic in its appearance, but in reality it still functions as a mosque and not as a Catholic church for se. Even though there are actually ornate frescoes at the dome, kind of like many basilicas and cathedrals in Europe. Okay guys, I exited the mosque entirely. Now I'm actually going to go to Maiden Tower, and let me show you guys this. This is actually the Bosphorus Strait, and it actually connects Thrace, which is where I am currently at, to Asia Minor, aka Anatolia, where 97% of Turkey's landmass actually is. Now over here is the view of the Bosphorus Strait, colloquially known as the Istanbul Strait, and its minimum width is actually 700 meters, at least 700 meters wide, and as for depth, you would only be able to go down like say 110 meters. You could still drown, but at least it's nowhere as egregious as going to the ocean. And the Istanbul Strait actually connects the Black Sea to the Marmara Sea, and it separates the European and Asian side of Istanbul, just like I said. And a fun fact is, it is about 31 kilometers long. I'm now somewhere around here, and I want to go all the way down to Karaköy to actually get to the Maiden Tower. Okay guys, after a while at the bus, I finally arrived at Karaköy Pier over here, on which I'm actually going to go to the Maiden Tower before crossing to, you guessed it, the Asian part of Istanbul. So I'll see you guys when I'm on the boat. Before going to the Maiden Tower, due to the back situation, therefore I'm actually going to stop by this hotel, which is actually the Holiday Inn Istanbul City. And here's the room. As you guys can see, it is absolutely big. Massive, to be honest, with the restroom. Yeah, as you guys can see, it is extremely fancy. I'm actually gonna sleep here for one night in luxury, and then tomorrow I'm actually going to go to Thessaloniki. I only pay like 10,000 points. Yes, I did not even have to pay any money at all for this. After taking a 30-minute break, I finally arrived outside. As you guys can see, it is now 15:30, and I do have a revelation. As you guys know, I've never really slept in 5-star hotels on my own, and even though I've never slept in 5-star hotels on my own, nor booked any 5-star hotels, I'd actually slept in 5-star hotels as a child with my parents and my older siblings. I remember a time when I was 15, I actually slept in the Hilton in Prague, and that was actually in the mid-2010s, and ironically, Wi-Fi actually costed money, unless if you're a Hilton's Honor member. And I also slept at Bellagio, at Las Vegas, as well as several other places, but I've never booked a 5-star hotel on my own because I'm always stingy, to be honest. But the truth is, because I do have 10,000 points on IHG via my older cousin, therefore he actually lended 10,000 points to me so that I could actually book this hotel over here. Now the 2-bed suite would actually cost $55 normally. I'm not too sure about the suite that I show you guys, but the standard 2-bedroom configuration would actually cost $55 to $60, which is quite affordable. $55 to $60 in Turkey actually gets you a 5-star hotel. I'm not joking. In the US you could barely get like Motel 6. I remember like when I was in Louisiana, I actually paid $45 for the Motel 6 in Lafayette, and it is so dirty, to be honest. Moldy, like and also it has some stain and stuff, but this is absolutely a luxurious gem, and I actually booked it last minute, to be honest. Now here are some of the nice hotels I've stayed in, but it's still not as nice because they're only 4 stars and not 5 stars. One is actually the Holiday Inn in Berlin, Prenzlauer Allee 3 years ago. The other is actually Mercure Ursu Station in Warsaw 3 years ago. And then I actually booked another hotel called Mercure in Venice 2 years ago. And then I booked another hotel, NH in Munich, Messe, which is about 2 years ago as well. And the Liberty Central Saigon Center about last year. And I actually booked the Marriott Delta Investment Park in Dubai, which costed me $70 last year. And I actually booked the Holiday Inn in Plovdiv last year as well, without any AC, and none of them even come close in terms of amenities or luxury to this. Yes, this is actually a full damn suite and not just a 1-bed. Okay guys, I'm currently on the T1 streetcar heading to, you guessed it, the Karakoy Pier. Now, due to the fact I'm actually born in the early 2000s, hence I do not have enough credit score to actually garner 10,000 points. And due to the fact I don't really spend much money outside of maybe several like investments and stuff in crypto and stocks, therefore did not really build up much credit or much points. So that's why I typically book like Airbnbs and stuff in Europe and Asia, because they're actually more affordable than that of like Holiday Inn. And Holiday Inn could easily go into the 3 digits in terms of US dollars. So you could be spending at least $100 for like a Holiday Inn in Europe. I'm not even joking. And like an equivalent Airbnb could only cost like $35 to $40 and could deliver like about 95% of the amenities that I need. After a while, I finally arrived at the Karakoy Pier, and due to the fact the boat would actually come at 5 p.m. and now it's about 4:15, therefore I'm actually gonna eat at a restaurant. I do believe it is called Derya Cafeteria, and I actually paid 250 Turkish lira for a portion of chicken doner. Let me show you. And it also includes appetizers as well, aka bread. And over here it is. It cost me 250 lira, or about $7 US for this. And this is a cheap restaurant in a sea of expensive restaurants, just like the one I showed you guys yesterday. Now in here you could actually see some chicken. I actually ate all the fries, but you could actually see this, as well as rice, tomatoes and lettuce. So it is quite healthy and appetizing, and why not, I'm actually gonna eat. After eating, I'm finally waiting for the boat, which would actually take me to the Maiden Tower. Now let me talk to you guys about the Maiden Tower, because the Maiden Tower was known as Leander's Tower during the Byzantine era. It is a tower on a small island about 220 meters from Üsküdar, which is actually in the Asian part of Istanbul. It is actually located on the Bosphorus Straits, and in its current form it was completed in 1725, but a custom station for ships coming from the Black Sea was probably built in 408 BCE by Alcibiades, an Athenian general, after the naval victory at Cisseus. In 1110, Emperor Alexis Comnenus built the wooden tower, but due to a series of events, it was destroyed by an earthquake, rebuilt, burnt down in 1721, and then built in its current form by Damad Ibrahim Pasha. And this building was used as a lighthouse, and now it is currently a museum, which cost 32 euros. I'm not joking. And that includes the 5 euro boat fee. The name Maiden actually comes from the fact the emperor has a daughter, and due to the fact he wanted to protect her from being killed by snakes, he had her locked there until her 18th birthday, when the emperor bought her a basket of exotic fruits as a gift. So why not? I'm actually going to go to the ferry to actually take me all the way to, you guessed it, the Maiden Tower. Okay guys, now I'm on a ferry. As you guys can see, this is quite a Spartan ferry, to be honest, with just the basics, bench seats and stuff. So not quite the most luxurious ferry, but still this does the job correctly, kind of like that of the New York ferry and stuff, where you go to the Statue of Liberty. You actually ride on a ferry just like this, and I could contemplate the ferry in Niagara Falls would also look like this, and this is for sure a lot better than that of the Tat Tien ferry, which actually took us to Wat Arun in Bangkok. And we're finally off. As you guys can see, we're now heading towards the Asian part of Istanbul. Over there is the Asian part of Istanbul. You might not be able to see the Maiden Tower from here, but I'll show you guys once I arrive. Now is when we're able to see the Maiden Tower over here. As you guys can see, yeah, that is actually the Maiden Tower. And fun fact about Turkey, even though Turkey's name has always been Türkiye, Turkiye, in fact, many Western people actually call the country as Turkey up until about 3 years ago, when Turkey actually changed its official name to Türkiye, not only for its country, but for everybody around the world. In fact, that name is now in the UN instead of like Turkey, like the birds for like Thanksgiving in North America. In fact, the name Türkiye has existed since like 1923, but many people still call it Turkey even to this day. And another fun fact about Turkey is its language is very different from like all of its neighbors. In fact, Turkish is actually a Turkic language, and if you don't know what it is, then I'll show you guys some of the countries which actually use a Turkic language: Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, and East Turkestan, aka Xinjiang. Yes, the Uyghurs, all the way from China, actually speak a Turkic language. And also some Turkic subgroups in Russia, such as the Tatars, as well as the Yakuts, which is all the way in Siberia. And if you don't know, Oymyakon is the coldest city in the world. After 15 minutes, not only have we arrived in the Maiden Tower, we finally arrived in the Asian part of Istanbul, aka Asia Minor. I'm not even joking. Yes, we're now in a different continent. Yeah. Well, not really like a different geological continent, but rather different cultural continents. And as you can see, guys, here it is. 30 euros for this is quite ridiculous for a small lighthouse, but whatever. At least I'm now going to go and show you guys what this building actually looks like. Okay guys, here it is. That is the European side of Istanbul. That is the Asian side of Istanbul. Yeah. After this, I think I might head towards the Asian side of Istanbul to show you guys what it looks like. And if I were to go there like today, it would not be my first time in the Asian side of Istanbul. In fact, if you could remember from my vlog in Rome, when I actually flew from Dubai to Rome, I actually did stop by Istanbul at the Sabiha Gökçen airport, which is actually the Asian side of Istanbul. Okay guys, here's actually a guide of the brief history of the Maiden Tower and some of the historical repairs made. It is known that the customs point was established in 410 BC on the islet where the Maiden Tower is located today, and the tower was built in order to control the ships coming from the Black Sea and collect taxes. In the 12th century, a defense tower was built on the islet by the Eastern Roman Emperor Manuel I Komnenos. A chain was stretched between his tower and a tower located next to the Mangana monastery in Saraybunu, so entry and exit to the Bosporus were under control. After the conquest of Istanbul, Fatih Sultan Mehmet had a new castle built here. A sentry unit was placed on the castle, and every evening after nightfall and at dawn, a Janissary band started to play in the tower. It has become a tradition to shoot cannons from the Maiden Tower during holidays and during the Sultan's visit to the seaside palaces when ascend to the throne. And in fact, the most recent repairs were between 2 and 4 years ago. I'm now inside the lighthouse, and why not? I'm actually going to take a flight of stairs. I'm kind of curious what this has to offer. I'm not really sure, but why not? But it does seem quite Spartan, to be honest, which is kind of unusual for an attraction which costs like 32 euros. Now let me talk through the legend about Maiden Tower with you guys. The king's daughter. The most well-known legend about the Maiden Tower is the story of the king and his daughter. The king, who was warned by a fortune teller that his daughter would die due to snake bites, had the Maiden Tower built on the rocks of Salakak in order to protect his daughter and place his daughter in this tower. The king sends various foods to her in a basket at certain times, and one day the snake hidden in a fruit basket poisons the king's daughter, causing her to die. Who even know if this legend is true or not, but this is definitely the most known legend and the reason why the tower got its name. But we can't even verify the veracity of it. After a while climbing up the stairs and reading about 3 posters, which includes about the legends, the history and the repairs, I finally got up here, the observation deck. Now you can see the European side over there, as well as the bridge and the Bosphorus Strait. And over there is actually the Asian side of Istanbul, and you could actually see the Kamlicha TV tower. Over there, yes. Now that TV tower was actually built between 2016 and 2020, and I do believe it is one of the tallest buildings in all of Istanbul. It is about 218 meters tall, which means it is quite tall in comparison with other buildings. Now you could actually see other buildings such as the Dolmabahce Palace, which was the palace used between the mid-19th century and early 20th century when the Ottoman Empire actually fell. And you could actually see some other landmarks as well, including the Galata Tower, if you could actually see. Over there. And if you want to walk a bit more, you could actually see others as well, such as the Hagia Sophia, the Blue Mosque, the Topkapi Palace, as well as the Yeni Mosque, Suleimani Mosque, and several others. So why not? I'm actually going to go around this, and as you guys can see, that is actually the Bosporus Straits over there. Yeah, it is kind of a bit rudimentary, but in reality, I think $30 is kind of a bit excessive, but I'm not too sure. So why not? I'm actually gonna go down. Okay guys, I finally descended into the ground floor, and you could see another skyline view of Istanbul over here. Not only could you see the skyline view, you could also see the Maiden Tower, and over there is actually Fatih. And why not? I'm actually going to go down. I'm not sure what to say about this, because it actually costs 32 euros. I descended even further, and as you can see over there is actually some cannon guns, and over there, if you could not tell, is actually a modern equivalent of a lighthouse, and you could actually see some rocks Yeah, I'm not even joking. 32 euros actually gives you this. Yeah, that's all you get for 32 euros. Okay guys, I just finished my tour at this, which is actually the Maiden Tower. Now I do believe, even though this is quite a cool experience, riding the boat and stuff, I do believe this is an extortionate price at 32 euros, especially for something like this. And unfortunately we do have to go now. Yeah, we only have like 30 minutes. Yeah, it's kind of a bit ridiculous to have this price point, because even the Eiffel Tower is like a lot cheaper, like about only 14 euros. After a while at the Maiden Tower, I'm finally on a boat, but I'm not really sure where I'm heading to. But I do believe it is heading towards like the Asian part of Istanbul, because I do see the wheel turning towards the Asian side. After almost 10 minutes, I finally arrived in the Asian side of Istanbul. As you guys can see, the architecture does look slightly different, but not that much different. You can actually see some more modernistic buildings over here. And the Asian part of Istanbul is far less crowded than the European side of Istanbul. And I do believe the Asian side is a bit cleaner, at least here. But I'm not too sure about the rest of it, because I heard the Asian side of Istanbul is slightly poorer than the European side. Now I do believe this is either a parking lot for the boats or even a straight up residential area, but I'm not too sure. It does not seem to look like the Kairang market in Kantur, where it's used as a full-time living space. But these boats don't seem to be fully inhabitable, to be honest. Now over here is an even closer view of the Maiden Tower, and if you want to see behind, this is actually a VW bus. Yes, I actually saw this exact VW bus when I was in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam for Tet. I'm not even joking. It does look eerily similar. After a while walking around Asian Istanbul, I do notice this street does seem quite clean, to be honest. Especially compared with Vietnam. I don't really see any litter anywhere. And over here is the bridge commemorating the 101st anniversary of the Republic of Turkey. I'm not sure what this reads, but I'm actually going to translate it soon, somehow. Now, in case if you didn't know, the Ottoman Empire actually fell in 1922, after my grandparents were born. I'm not even joking. They were born before the Ottoman Empire fell, but I was actually born after year 2000, which means there's at least an 80-year gap, but you can actually see a lot of mosques around here. I do believe around there might be the Kamlicha, but I'm not too sure. And over there's another mosque, and as you guys can see, Free Palestine. Yes, as you guys all know, like Palestine is actually an Islamic country, and same with Turkey. And I do believe both are allies, to be honest. But the US does not yet recognize Palestine. And if you were to do any protests related to Palestine at college campuses, you could be arrested. There was actually one Palestinian student at Columbia University who was recently arrested and set to be deported. But a federal judge actually overturned his deportation due to the fact he actually had a green card, which means he's a legal permanent resident. Okay guys, I just crossed the road, and over there is actually the Yeni Valid Mosque. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to go to the Grand Kamlicha Mosque, which was actually built 6 years ago and is the biggest mosque in Turkey. You might think it's a Hagia Sophia, but the Grand Kamlicha Mosque is actually the biggest in Turkey. And also, I don't have time to go to the Sakharin Mosque, because I do believe both are closed. So therefore, I'm actually going to go to this mosque before taking the train, which would lead me to the European side of Istanbul, and then I'm going to go back to my hotel once again. Okay guys, over here is the entrance to the Yeni Valid Mosque. Now this mosque actually opened in 1710, and why not, I'm actually going to go in to show you guys what it is all about, because this is not really the European side of Istanbul anymore, but rather the Asian side. Yeah, I'm not in the Asian side, I'm not even joking. So why not, let's enter this mosque, because I do want to visit at least some amenity in the Asian side of Istanbul before I actually return to the European side. Okay guys, this is what the interior of the mosque looks like. as you guys can see, with some chandeliers and stuff, as well as a dome. This is typical of a Turkish mosque over here. As you guys can see, now I'm thinking of going out. I'm not sure what to go next. Okay guys, I returned to my holiday in accommodation, and here is my conclusion and take on Istanbul. Now these are the places I've not visited, including the Topkapi Palace Museum, way too expensive at 2,000 lira, aka $55. Dolmabahce Palace, which is also $55. Istanbul Archaeological Museum, the Kari Mosque, Istanbul Museum of Modern Art, Museum of Innocence, Basilica Cistern, which is about $35, and Sakharin Mosque and the Grand Chamlicha Mosque. Unfortunately, I don't have time to go to the latter two, but some of the former are actually quite expensive, to be honest. Namely, the Topkapi, Dolmabahce, and Kari, and Basilica Cistern, all of which are like crazy expensive, to be honest, especially given it's Istanbul. Now, overall, I do believe that even though some attractions in Istanbul, including the Kari Mosque, Basilica Cistern, Hagia Sophia, Maiden Tower, Galata Tower, Topkapi Palace, and Dolmabahce Palace are really expensive, there are tons of pre-alternatives, including most mosques, including the Süleymani Mosque, Beyazit Mosque, Blue Mosque even, Jamucha Mosque, as well as even several more. The Egyptian Spice and Turkish bazaars and more. Food could be quite expensive, with you paying around $5, aka 180 Turkish lira for the doner kebab, and about $10 to $20, or about 365 to 730 Turkish lira, or sometimes even more for full dinner meal like Adana kebab, or even like a mixed meal kebab. But if you're savvy, like I did at some restaurants, like this dinner at the Karakoy and yesterday dinner, then you're able to place a main meal for only about 200 or even 250 Turkish lira, aka around $5.50 or $7, like at the dinners, just like I mentioned. That meant even in expensive Istanbul, as of today, you could actually get some bargain, to be honest. And most places in Istanbul actually accept credit cards. The only places which don't are the restaurant I actually ate for lunch, and that's basically about it, to be honest. Water is relatively affordable, just like many European and Asian destinations, at around 10 lira at supermarkets for the 500 milliliter variant, and 18 lira for the 1.5 liter variant, kind of similar to that of Thailand, where they actually charge 10 baht, which is about the same as 10 lira, as the lira has heavily depreciated against the US dollar, so now the lira has fallen to like the baht effectively. Actually less valuable than a baht. And hotels are relatively on the affordable side. I was able to book the Hotel Orchid, which is reasonably clean and has private restroom access, albeit with a firm single bed, for about $20 a night, with a genius discount rendering it a total of $60 for 3 nights. And the Holiday Inn at Turgut Özal Kadesi only costs $55, and it's a 5-star hotel next to the T1 line on the Pazartesi station, which takes you to Sultanahmet in 25 minutes and Serkipi in about 30 minutes. And overall, despite the fact some attractions are ungodly expensive, such as the Galata Tower and Maiden Tower, which are like 30 euros each, I do believe Istanbul is worth visiting, with some caveats. And my controversial take is due to its history. The Hagia Sophia is worth a visit, despite the fact it actually costs 25 euros. And my last take, I do believe that the value of Istanbul is on the okay side, because you do get affordable accommodations and semi-affordable food if you're savvy. But the thing is, many of the attractions are quite expensive, but if you could actually choose some of the free attractions, you could. And many Turkish people are quite friendly, to be honest. But the thing is, like, be careful for scams and stuff. So I do believe, like, Turkey is sort of worth visiting. But you gotta act fast, because Turkey would become a lot more expensive. Like last year, the Dolmabahce Palace only costed around like 1,200 lira, but now it costs like 2,000 lira, not even 1,500, 2,000 lira. So the prices have skyrocketed like crazy. Or maybe wait into the next several years to see how prices go. If it trends cheaper, then probably go in the next several years. But yeah, now it's kind of an expensive time because just a few years ago the Galata Tower used to be $4 US. That is absurd, to be honest. So thank you guys for watching. Please give a big thumbs up, subscribe for more videos, and I'm gonna see you guys soon. And last up, you could actually book my hotel like very last minute. To be honest, let me show you. It's still like 55 euros. I'm not joking.